Wrestling Podcast. And his name is John Cena.
Oh, damn it. All right, well then. It is Friday, January 29th, 2016, and you're listening to On the Heels Wrestling Podcast. I'm Brittany.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Ray. Yay.
So, we are three coworkers who have a love-hate and weird relationship with pro wrestling.
That's a good way
and
to put
making
it.
strange noises, apparently. And this podcast gives us a space to shoot on all these aspects, talk shop, speculate, or all convince each other of the same theory with regard to pay-per-view outcomes, as it were.
We will get to that.
And do it in a safe place where we don't bother the rest of our coworkers.
So this podcast is all about giving you, the listener, consistent bite-sized commentary on the world of wrestling, focused primarily on the WWE's main roster, NXT. We'll occasionally touch on other promotions, the Indies, the International, New Japan.
We talk about everything, pretty much. So every week we'll recap the previous week's Raw, NXT, pay-per-view, TakeOver, etc. Or we'll hold some sort of roundtable discussion on a particular topic. However, this week's kind of important because this week is our recap of the Royal Rumble.
It was the best Royal Rumble I think I've ever seen.
Okay, so
Wow.
Context for that. Is this the best Royal Rumble because the last two were absolute shit?
Ooh, that's actually a really good point.
Because I think, like, we were all going into this expecting it to be terrible. Like, I spent the good, like, last month as they've been advertising this pay-per-view on Raw that this is probably going to be terrible and they'll find a way to fuck it up.
Yeah. I think for me, over decades now, they've found ways to tell stories within the Royal Rumble match.
Yes.
And that they didn't do before. And so I think this has progressively gotten better. Because I remember the days like Attitude Era where like you get like Drew Carey has entered into the Royal Rumble and it's like, what the hell? Like, what are they doing in this match?
You have
like
30 spots, and you're taking one of the precious spots away and giving it to a celebrity. It's like the same thing like giving it to Jack Swagger. Like, you know exactly how that's going to end.
Yeah, like, Royal Rumble, for the most part, has always been exciting in the last, like, 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So, for me, like,
It's the first 5 minutes and the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. The middle is usually, like, it's exciting, but it's like, oh, who's going to get knocked out? But it's
I feel like this one, the whole thing was exciting.
Yeah.
There was always something happening.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I'll say to get my words in edgewise here about the Rumble between you two
Fine.
Is that they do trend to make the Rumble kind of about one person a lot more lately. Mm-hmm. Which isn't so bad. It kind of goes along with your storyline thing. Yeah. Like, this one was all about, I mean, they kept saying it one versus all, right?
Yeah. That was the tagline.
And it was trending too bad. Like, I don't think you were both wrong about that. Mm-mm. But then to sort of double it up, making it for the title, then immediately change it because it changed all, your prediction and thinking on it. You couldn't go from who's going to get a shot? And it doesn't still guarantee that they're the main event of WrestleMania. Something faster could happen. The second it goes to the belt, it's like, well, hold on now. Like, somebody could win the Rumble, and you can know all along they'll lose.
I feel like
but if they get to win the title, that's a whole different thing.
Had they not made it for the title, I think I would have expected Roman to win it going into this Rumble. But because they made it for the title, it was like when Brock Lesnar before WrestleMania last year was like, oh yeah, I signed with WWE. And you're like, whoa, the standard outcome of the match is totally different now.
Exactly.
Because I have this new piece of information.
But even with the like, Roman or not, like, I'm just saying in general, like, certain people, in some ways it kind of made it worse for them. Like, to that end with Jack Swagger, like, maybe there's a chance they'd have some stupid storyline where he wins, but they would never have him actually win the title. So that kind of, like, eliminated half the crowd. Like,
it changed the dynamic because it was usually Royal Rumble is about who's getting the shot as opposed to who's getting the title. Mm-hmm. Right. And it flipped because there's a number of potential people that could get the title and maybe not even go to WrestleMania.
Right.
So
they can shepherd the title for a couple months.
And it throws Fastlane completely into question. Whereas last year I remember Fastlane being like a throwaway pay-per-view, and then they made, we'll put a match with Daniel Bryan because everyone's upset with what we did with the Rumble. And it's like, well, you still kind of could see from a mile away what was going to happen.
Yeah, my nickname for Fastlane is Speed Bump.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
that's so
bad,
good.
not
That's
bad.
so good.
All right, so we do want to go through the card here?
I
Yes.
think we do.
All right, cool.
Because I personally enjoyed every single match. Like, some more than others, but I
Right.
felt like every match had something great. So first, I'm going to kick it off. Friggin' Sandow is back.
Oh, Sandow.
And it's
Savior.
like, it's the savior of the masses. And he brought back the elbow drop, the Akiet. I always forget, like, I don't speak Latin, so I always forget what it is.
It's the
Komato
elbow-
Akiet. The elbow of disdain is the
that
translation.
disdain-do.
Oh my
It was
god.
great. It was great to see him back, and
I'm
also
so
it was
happy.
great to have them let the crowd reaction sort of stay. You
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
I hadn't gone back and watched anything yet. Hopefully, it wasn't edited out, but
No.
like it was in that Cesaro like paradigm breaking way that he's like so over in that role.
Yes.
That it probably raised some eyebrows back there.
I also
Backstage.
like the fact that the whole savior of the masses is now his face gimmick,
Yes.
Yeah.
which
It's
could
funny.
totally work.
Yeah.
It
It
could
could.
actually totally
It could.
work. The thing on his Titantron says, "I love Sandow."
Yeah,
and
so
I'm
there
like,
was well, it wasn't I love Sandow, it was I greater than you.
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's
So
right.
so if you haven't been following like his it was like his in between gimmick.
Yeah.
In between Rhodes Scholars when he tagged with Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
And when he became Damien Mizdow, there was this whole like they were trying to sell t-shirts.
Yeah.
And they had the I greater than you because it looks like a math equation. It was kind of
Yeah.
dumb, and I wonder why they moved away from his gimmick if they base everything
Yeah.
on t-shirt sales.
The cool
but-
moment, like, definitely happened there with the pop. Like, we all loved it, right? The crowd loved it. Everyone loved it.
I mean, it was
Which-
great.
Which then brings you to the winners of the match, Swagger and Mark Henry, as complete fodder for the Rumble, right? 'Cause
Wow,
we
I-
forgot to mention, just for those, maybe we didn't know, like, the winners of that was like a play-in match for the
Oh, yeah.
Rumble, right?
They get a spot in the Royal Rumble, both
Yeah.
guys. It would have been, I mean, you look at, like, Damien Sandow and Darren Young, that would have been probably the more obvious choice. But then even the Dudleys, like, that would have been fine.
I was kind of shocked to see the Dudleys in the pre-show, honestly.
Yeah.
My only reasoning for not seeing them in the Rumble was because one of them came back in the Rumble last year as
Yeah,
like entrant
that was
number 3.
public.
So that was
Yeah.
like a big thing, and that was before they were really back to being regular roster members.
I mean, I feel like Sandow and Darren would have been great in the Rumble just because Sandow was so great when he was doing Mizdow stuff in the Battle Royale. and
Oh
all
my
that,
God, it was
that,
so
like,
good.
he can do a great thing of show up in the ring, make it fresh for a couple minutes, and then if he gets eliminated, you're like, well,
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
I think that they were not going to take any risks with putting Sandow in. I think as soon as he got that big pop, it became clear to me, at least watching what's going on, that had he been in the Rumble and had he gotten eliminated, they could have had a negative crowd reaction. And that was a big thing that I think they were trying to fight against this year.
That's probably...
Although
they're
some
prob-
things happened in the Rumble where I'm like, really? Is that what you were actually doing? Because you
Yeah,
made some
like,
bad decisions.
not to jump ahead too much, but the Kofi elimination, right?
Well,
Is
it's
like a similar-ish
Well, Kofi
thing.
always gets eliminated. I'm more
Well,
talking
yeah,
about
but
where
insofar
Roman's just
as-
hanging out in the corner and not doing anything because you know he's resting up to be in the Final Four.
Yeah, but like Kofi wasn't even really featured. We found out after they got...
Yeah, it was silly. Anyway,
right.
we'll get to that. We'll get to
Moving
that.
on to the opening match.
Oh my god!
Oh my
Oh
god!
my god! Match of the show. This was-
Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental title. No disqualification. This was fantastic.
Like, if you're gonna have two guys on the main roster who do a match with that stipulation and that rule set,
We have I'm gonna break the fourth wall. We have a list here just to summarizing stuff so we can stay on point.
Yeah.
And we have a cool moments section for each match. Which one of you made this?
I made it.
This is great though. Just Michael Cole.
yeah.
Well, I mean, like we
Effing
needed
awesome.
So it comes back to like one of the things I really like about wrestling. So to call back to the Brooklyn NXT show. So one of the things that I really like about Tyler Breeze is he has a seasonal residence that is called out in his entrance.
Yes.
Yes.
And for like the quarter of the year prior to Brooklyn, his seasonal residence had been in Cairo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then in Brooklyn, his outfit is like Egyptian themed. And
Oh,
it's one of those
yeah.
things that you don't realize unless you're like really paying attention.
Yeah.
So the Michael Cole moment with Kevin Owens where he falls out of the ring and basically aims to roll into Michael Cole, rolls over him and you're like, oh, is that an accident? And then he's like actively trying to
push him out of
Michael
the chair.
Cole's like glasses off of his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the thing that's happening, right?
Yeah.
And you know this because every Raw, Kevin Owens would stop in the middle of a match, look at Michael Cole and say, "Are you paying attention?
Yeah.
Call the match.
Call the match, Michael
Call
Cole."
the match, Michael Cole." And you're just like, this guy feuds with everybody, but it's a continuation of the same thing. And Kevin Owens did it again later, where when he entered the Rumble, he was limping. And he's selling the match 2 hours later. And you know that this is something that just Kevin Owens does because he's a good wrestler. You know the writers in the back aren't doing that.
He's so believable.
Yes.
Like, everything about him, like, going into social media, going to everything, he's so believable.
He lives his character.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because he also talks about himself as a person and how much he likes zoos and how much he
he's
loves
a
his
family
son.
man.
He's a family man, but he's also this, like, giant asshole. It's amazing. But yeah, I want to call out the stacked table spot.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the three of us were all watching it at my house this weekend. And it was insane because the camera, as soon as the tables went out of the frame, the camera never went back to show them again.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if that was something that was intentional to say, like, we want you to forget that the tables are there.
I think it was.
Or, which I think is more likely, but I was really worried that they were going to be like, no, we're going to take the tables away because someone's going to die. And we really can't risk that because everyone else is injured on our roster. But I was really happy that they didn't. And I was really happy that Owens went through the table.
Yeah, it was overall, like, it was an intense match. It was awesome. Love all the chairs. Man, so many chairs involved in that match. And a lot of good spots. It really showed Owens off really well. I hate that damn clothesline now from Dean Ambrose. It's getting slower and slower every single match.
It is.
Well, since he's making sure he does it, it makes it seem even slower than it actually is.
It's too methodical.
We're just sick of it, you know. I'm happy for Ambrose that he won that match because he basically lost that style match against Bray Wyatt with the ambulance thing a few months ago.
Yeah.
So he had to win one of those.
He needed to win this.
Owens can afford to lose a couple more feuds at this rate just because he's so good that it almost doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You don't want, you know.
He could win or lose. Like, he's someone where wins or losses doesn't really matter.
So
because his character carries him.
That's good. Like, it turned out good, and, you know, I'm hoping... I'm okay with that feud being over now and things diverging, and, you know, Raw kind of is making it seem like it is. So
Yeah, I think so. I think Kevin Owens is immediately moving into main card contention.
He could go a number of directions, like mid-main to whatever, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be great.
I mean, he's proven he can carry 5 feuds at once.
Yeah.
Like, there was a point where he was feuding with Sami Zayn, John Cena, William Regal, and, like, Samoa Joe and Finn Balor all at the same time across multiple rosters, and I'm just like, this guy could do it all.
All right, cool. So the tag team match, I want to talk about this one because personally, I'm like really sick of the Usos, and they just
you and everyone else,
Well, not everyone else, because they're winning Slammies. But like,
which, oh my god,
I know they're rigged, but whatever. But and they're there for the younger section of the audience, right? They are. But I'm sick of them. You know, so obviously the result of the match with the New Day winning, I'm happy about, because that would have been a complete disaster if the New Day lost. And, you know, I mean, the Usos kind of, they're just like generically okay, do their same stuff. Like, even if you don't notice the things, like we kind of joke about, Brittany will call out when they imitate Young Bucks stuff, or all the things they steal from other tag teams. Yeah. Like, even all that stuff aside, it's just, you know, they're kind of stale. And if you remember, as we were watching it, we were having this running joke of, like, trying to tell them apart.
Yeah.
It's
like, wait, the one with the white tights.
Yeah.
No, Jimmy's the one with the black tights.
Yeah. And I kept saying, well, without Naomi to anchor, I really have a hard time.
And even with Naomi anchoring, I still get them mixed up.
Yeah, so...
It's and I think that's the problem, is that one of them is not a deep character, so giving us 2 doesn't actually solve the problem.
Right. Yep. The best thing about, obviously, New Day pay-per-views is they kind of bring an element of Raw to each show, because they have their, you know, pre-match segment. And, you know, traditionally, a lot of the pay-per-views don't have a lot of, you know, story building. They resolve stories usually at pay-per-views. Yeah. But the New Day are the ones that always are continuing their story. And for this one, it was Francesca time.
Oh my god.
No, I mean, for me, I was wondering how long the morning for Francesca 1 was going to be. And
this was the debut of that being a term, right?
Brother's got
needs.
Brother's got,
oh my god.
That might have been the line of the pay-per-view.
Brother's
got needs. So good.
So the debut of the name Francesca 2,
which I love,
which is the best name.
Perfect.
It was really funny because it's one of those moments that you really appreciate as a fan who's invested in the product. Yeah. Because today I was in the kitchen at the office, and I'm wearing my New Day shirt where they're on the Stevie Wonder corn with, the trombone. And I'm describing how this one guy had a trombone that died, which describing an inanimate object as dead is already kind of hysterical, right?
Yeah.
This inanimate object died, and then they eulogized it, and then now they have a new trombone that they're pushing, right? And I'm just getting blank stares because it's like, wait, you're talking about wrestling?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things you don't understand unless you've been watching. But there are literally 3 guys who spent Sunday eulogizing a trombone.
Yep.
And I paid money for that. Like,
Yep. Absolutely.
And I don't regret it. That's, I think, the other thing.
Yeah. Not one bit.
Not in the
That was
slightest.
fantastic.
So, the U.S. title match, Calisto versus Alberto Del Rio. It was a solid match. It was a good match. Calisto's so freaking awesome. He's such a great wrestler. And throughout the match, I mean, it's going really well. Like, a lot of good back and forth. And then Calisto goes for what he occasionally goes for, which is it's a leg trap sunset flip powerbomb.
Mm-hmm.
I will have a link to this so you know what the hell I'm talking about. Because it's a very complicated move. But as he jumps on Del Rio's back, he botches the move, slips, and lands right on his head.
Yeah, I felt it.
There was a collective groan from the audience, like, of our viewing party.
Yeah, I think
when
all
that
of us
happened.
grabbed the back of our necks and just went, ah!
Yeah, they managed, like, it was
as beautifully as they possibly could have, right? Because he stands up, he's struggling. You can tell he's lost control of maybe half of his body for a number of brief seconds. But still, it's like, in that moment, it's like, whoa, this is real.
I would say that moment aside, so that moment was scary as heck, right?
Oh, yeah.
They had just a solid match, like, it was...
Yes.
But the rest of the card is so strong that, like, if that moment wasn't there, like, all I probably would have remembered was that Calisto won. And then it's not a knock against that. It was just, like, through the lens of all the other matches, like, this one was like, yeah, it was good. It's like a B+.
It was a good match.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, like, we remember the scary thing the most, and hope it seems like he's all right. We don't know for sure, but yeah. So
I think it's funny because it's one of those things where we just expected it. We just realized, like, oh yeah, it's Del Rio, it's Calisto, it's gonna be a good match, and the expectations were met.
They're both good, but in completely different ways.
Yeah.
So I was actually thinking about it a little bit after the fact, because I don't think Calisto winning the title had as much punch as it could have.
Oh, I mean, he, won
right.
Before,
So he had won it on Raw,
right,
2 weeks prior, and then lost it on SmackDown, and won a chance to try and win it again at the pay-per-view.
Right.
And I'm trying to, have that conversation with myself of how would I have wanted it? Would I have wanted there to be a surprise title change on Raw, or would I have wanted Calisto to wait to win it until the pay-per-view? And I don't honestly think there's a right answer. Yeah. Because title changes typically only happen at pay-per-views. So for it to happen on Raw, I think, is actually a bigger moment for him as a wrestler.
Yeah.
But then it kind of comes back to is how much of this is because of John Cena being hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of that, I think, but also I kind of don't like that it's become so known and expected that the title changes happen just at pay-per-views,
Yeah, so it's
So
I kind of like the way it was.
Us on our toes, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's great.
It made watching Raw worth it that week. Like I'll watch Raw every week, but whether or not there's something
Yeah,
to
I mean,
actually
we talked
talk
about
the next
it was
day.
like our first podcast. We were like, holy crap, like who actually expected him to win that one? Right?
Yeah.
Like
I think it was for him to lose it at SmackDown. There's a good and bad takeaway from it because they have to build up SmackDown. They have to find a way, and honestly,
it's beginning of the year. They do this every beginning of the year.
Yeah.
When SmackDown starts this new season, especially now that they're on USA and they have the new announcer, like they're really trying to push the SmackDown product.
So I don't think it was a bad call on their part. There was a number of different ways they could have done it. It was the right way for WWE to take it, for me personally.
Okay, now I'll shut up about Calisto.
all right, cool. So then the Divas match.
Oh my
Ray.
God, I have so much to say.
I knew you had much to say, so you're not going first. Let's ask Ray first.
I have nothing to share.
Yes!
Go ahead, Brittany.
All right.
Well, because we may not get another chance. It's gonna be the rest of the
No,
podcast
like speak now or forever hold your peace, because I'm about to go into this beast.
Fine. I'll get my. it delivered on all the levels I wanted, and Ric
I don't mean
Flair
to
was
sound
great.
pushy.
And how the end played out was awesome, and I am super stoked that Sasha is back.
Yes. Okay. So, a couple things. I've been kind of hit or miss on whether or not I've been feeling the Ric Flair-ness of him hanging out with Charlotte. I think it was a little overplayed in pushing her as Ric Flair's daughter instead of
I
Charlotte as a
100%
character.
agree.
But I feel like this pay-per-view was the payoff for that.
Yes.
That you got to see Ric Flair being the creepy old man, like
Yes.
harassing Becky Lynch by
Combined
kissing
with
her.
the great video efforts that they did, like
Yes.
his performance, the Raw before this pay-per-view,
Yes.
with his like old man senile woo fest,
Woo,
while Charlotte
woo,
stood
and then
behind him
drops the
like,
mic.
"Dad, are you for real?" was pretty great.
Yeah, it was well, and that moment in particular, just to kind of call that one out, it was interesting because you see the look on Charlotte's face transform to, yeah, I'm not gonna fight you. You've already lost twice. To, oh, wait a minute, my dad just booked me for a match at a pay-per-view. Like, this is not what I was expecting. So it's a
Yeah.
little bit of, you get to see Charlotte as a character, and I think that was a good lead-in for this match. So then you had Ric Flair kissing Becky Lynch, which already is infuriating, right? And super creepy.
It's really weird.
It's low, but it's funny because it's Ric Flair, right? It's the oldest ride and the longest line.
Yeah, but somebody needs to close that ride. Look, I can appreciate that Ric Flair calls his penis Space Mountain. Okay, it is really
Oldest
funny.
ride, longest line.
Yeah, it's super funny. I get it. It's fucking awesome, and I love Ric Flair, but dude is old as hell.
But-
it was gross.
but-
Grandpa kissed her.
But I think because he's old, he has so much of a character and a history built up behind him.
Oh, yeah.
That it is so well known he's going to take off his clothes and do something with them.
I know.
And for him to take off the jacket and then throw it at Becky.
Oh, that was hilarious.
It was fantastic because it's another one of those payoff things for being a
Jacket
wrestler.
attack.
Yes, jacket attack. So Charlotte wins, not surprising. Like, of course she's going to retain. And then, as Kyle alluded to, Sasha's music hits. And this was like a roller coaster of emotions for me, and I'm pretty certain my neighbors almost called the police with how much I was screaming, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
she was screaming a lot.
was
A lot.
awesome.
Like, my cats hid under the bed for at least another hour after it. So Sasha comes out, and you think that they're doing the BFFs angle again.
Which I would've loved.
The beautiful, fierce friends, females. Beautiful, fierce females.
I'll be the nerdy guy that never thought that was actually happening.
Well, did you watch that on NXT?
I know of the angle.
Okay.
But I just, like, Sasha is the boss.
Yeah,
She's
I mean,
here to be the boss.
In hindsight, I'm
she's
like,
been
how was I
shelved too long
fooled?
behind
How
BS.
was I fooled?
Yeah, actually, that was my thinking as it was happening thought you were reacting to that because Sasha was back to become the champ.
I went
And
through
then
a
you
whole roller
you went
coaster
through
of
the whole roller
emotions.
coaster, as you said.
Just to
but
keep with the oldest ride, longest line thing.
Yeah.
Like, I was riding that roller coaster,
It
right? Because
does
I'm
seem to
excited that
me-
Charlotte won. I'm excited that Sasha's there. I'm excited that they're now friends because eventually they're going to be fighting against each other. And I'm
Right.
like, oh man, they're going to play this. Oh no, they didn't. Oh snap. Oh my
I'm
God.
happy they didn't
Yeah.
have us go through the whole friend thing because I felt like she already paid her dues, like slogging through Team Bad.
No.
So I wanted
Oh,
her
that's
to
a fair
come back.
point.
So for me, I actually was hoping that they would do the BFFs just because if they're going to do that gimmick, there's actually no room for Flair to be there.
Mm-hmm.
That's good, and if it killed Team Bad,
Oh,
also
that's
good.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
But either way, I think this pay per view was a good punctuation on the whole Ric Flair thing.
Yeah.
I think they need to get
it ends
away.
it at this point.
Yeah,
It's like he may be like her manager at WrestleMania.
she needs to.
But I think she really needs to
Differentiate herself.
Differentiate. I'm gonna throw in a brief WrestleMania prediction in kind of our last third of this, but I definitely want to see Charlotte, Sasha, Becky triple threat at Mania.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
that they could. They
Oh,
have
yeah,
enough
that'd be
time.
legit.
Yeah.
They have enough time that they could potentially build that. My worry is that it would become a fatal four-way with Nikki Bella, but I'm holding out hope. Anyway,
Yeah,
So-
so it's time to move to the Rumble.
Let's move on to the Rumble.
So first things first.
Roman gets booed, like as he's coming out and getting to the ring, right?
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Which
Yeah.
is hilarious because and Kyle and I were talking about this a little bit prior to the recording starting.
Right.
But if you watch Raw, Roman was over.
Oh, yeah.
Like the fans, casual fans are on board. Like the hardcore fans are on board. But as soon as he goes to the pay-per-view, he's booed. It does not matter anything that you've gained. And I think part of that is because Royal Rumble is one of those pay-per-views that people will fly into town for.
Oh, yeah.
So you end
Yeah.
up getting the hardcore fans who are adults who have a disposable income that will go to this. So it's kind of funny that it doesn't matter what they did. just simply having him there was a detriment to their progress.
Yeah, which kind of stinks, because, like, you know, among us and our group of friends who are also, you know, hardcore fans, obviously we got this podcast, right? Like,
What?
we all were basically accepting of him. We're like, you know what, he's paid his dues, and yeah, it's okay. You know,
I was on
the
board with
Roman
him.
era, the Roman Empire has started.
I was
alright.
like, I'm not. It's not what I would have wanted, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm still. There are things about his character that he needs work on.
Right.
I don't think he's ready. I still don't think he's ready.
I could hear that, but also it's not the worst thing in the world now that he's in the conversation. They've managed that. So, like, to hear that jarring reception again was, like, sort of deja vu, like,
Yeah, it was
obviously.
funny.
And also, like, wow, well...
Oh, hey, we're watching the
how-
Royal Rumble.
how will they, if at all, scramble this time, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, we had our podcast where we made our predictions before, but the funny thing was, like, we all anchored on this, you know, belief in Triple H that Brittany had that was on the ball. After, After the Daniel Bryan, you know, heartfelt thing.
My heart's still broken.
She said Triple H.
He wasn't in the Rumble.
And it was so accurate, and we also believed it, that on the day of the Rumble, we all thought, like, we all made that bet, number one. But number two, we all thought that was our prediction anyway. Like, we had to correct each other that, no, actually, it was just Brittany originally who made that
no.
one,
It
right?
was definitely
Everyone else had
Brittany.
the full-on prediction.
Well, because
yeah, I'm just
it
going to say I'm
you
the
know,
best.
it just
no big
makes
deal.
sense, right?
Best in
Like,
the business.
But, no. As soon as Brittany brought up Triple H, I immediately switched my prediction at the podcast. I was like, wait, no.
Woman raised mind.
Yeah, totally blew my mind.
Well, and it was interesting because I thought about it a little bit after the fact, like why that prediction became the obvious thing, right? Because I've been reading a lot of reviews about the Rumble and whatnot just to see what people's thoughts were. And apparently it was the widely, quote, air quotes, known swerve, right? Like they were definitely going to put Triple H at number 30.
Yeah,
Right.
Vegas.
Which, like the Vegas, and I'm really glad I didn't check the Vegas odds ahead of time because we had some prop bets going, and
Yeah.
and I was like, no, I can't taint the vote. Wikipedia is the only knowledge source that I have. Like that's it. It's fine. But everyone saw it coming. But everyone was still so surprised
And
and
so
so
happy.
excited about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those, like, you could tell me how this is going to end, and I still loved the ending.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone else they could have put at 30, given all the injuries and all the stuff that could have had that effect.
Yeah,
And
it was
also,
perfect.
like, I can't think of any other ending that would have been as cool. Like, even Lesnar winning would have been like,
It's
you
like,
know?
"Oh, it's
like,
Lesnar,
so
okay."
I originally thought Lesnar, right? That's what I
Yeah.
said, but once we started talking Triple H, I was like, well, it's obvious he's going to be wrestling soon in some way, right?
Yeah.
He's been gone, which for him always means training, right?
Yeah.
And
Stephanie had
just
even
fit
called
the
out on
angle.
Raw that, like, he'll come back when you least expect it. And I had forgotten about that line and then read about it in a review recently, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why this was obvious.
Yeah, I remember talking about that. Sometimes I feel like they just say those things and it's coincidence that it lines up.
Yeah.
Like from what we've heard from other podcasts and stuff with how accurate they are at planning.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that may be giving him too much credit, but it definitely, you know, he was lurking. He was too quiet for Triple H,
Yeah, it
right?
was
Too quiet
like
for
one
too
of our
long.
other friends who is, you know, casual at best with WWE stuff these days. He kept like turning to me during the thing and just couldn't believe, like, all three of you got it right. Like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if you've been watching, like, with all the things, if you think about it,
It
a little,
lit
it
up
wasn't
perfectly.
that nuts.
It-
Yeah, like, they
It
set it up
aligned
great.
really well. But more,
did.
I think more than just the ending of the match. Again, the entire match had really good pacing, really great moments. Like they gave you time to like just absorb what was happening.
So let's talk about some of those moments. The obvious one, AJ Styles.
Yeah, it was
right.
great.
Like it was everyone's
Number
like
3.
So I like that he was number 3
Yes.
because number 2 has always been like a big reveal, right? Like it was Jericho a number of years ago.
Yeah.
But I think with it being Rusev, the crowd kind of goes, oh, okay, we were expecting AJ Styles. Maybe he's not here. And I
Yeah.
think there was a bit of calm because it's like, oh,
Yeah,
it's Roman,
yeah.
Rusev, whatever. And then when the DMX remix starts and you have no idea who it is and you're just hoping, and then again, that roller coaster of emotions. And I think it had a bigger impact because he wasn't second.
Yeah. No, I believe that 100%. Like
Yeah, I agree with the sentiment, but I yet again think that in that case, that could have just been coincidence, you know?
Might have been.
I feel like they wanted to get him early because you wanted him, like, I love
You
that
wanted
they
him
gave
in the
him
match.
a lot of time.
Yes, he was in there for a long time, and he was a critical part of like how the
and
Rumble
Michael
played
Cole,
out, right?
like, giving him his props, like, everything related to
They
AJ
said
was
the amount
pulled
of
off
time he's
expertly.
been in wrestling. They named the IWGP Championship by name,
Yep.
which was incredible and not a WWE thing to do.
Absolutely.
So this is kind of shocking for them, right?
Yeah, no, that whole thing was handled great. His interaction with Owens, like, we immediately started all spitballing about, like, what's going to happen with Owens. You know, he could do so many different feuds, right? We already saw him on a Raw with Jericho,
Yep.
so that was great. Rusev taking the TV.
The TV champion.
The TV
Oh, gee,
I
champion.
don't know if you saw that on Twitter, but he says to Lana, like, you said to make history, so I was the only one that took the TV. I am the television champion.
That was crazy, but that also, that moment of the League of Nations coming in, messing with stuff, whatever, like, Roman being gone, like,
Awful.
was a terrible,
Awful.
Yeah.
real downer. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
it
want
was.
to take it too negative because that match was amazing. Like we all just said, one of the best ever, if not the best. But
Maybe it was the best because he wasn't in it most
like
of the
it
time.
could have that whole that arc could have made it the worst. Right?
Yeah, you
like
know
if
what?
he won with that cheesy thing.
Yeah, absolutely. What they could have done,
Totally
honestly,
undo everything. Yeah.
Yeah, what they could have done, honestly, was I didn't mind the whole wheeling them out. Like they've done that before.
Yeah.
But you wheel him out, you get him out of the ring, you allow for two or three, and then you bring him back in, but have him collapse on the ramp. Have him
Like really sell it.
really sell that he's struggling to get back into the ring.
I almost agree with that because, and I spoke about it before, but Owens coming out with a limp, right?
Yeah.
That Owens comes out with a limp and still wrestles, but Roman is like, the stretcher comes out, he hangs out in the back for 20 minutes, and then he comes back and he's totally
Yeah,
fine.
it's like he had a recovery
He could have
drink
took
and
a
did
shower.
Yeah.
He had a nice snack,
Yeah.
read some financial blogs. Like, I don't know what he was doing back there,
Yeah,
but...
he could have done a line of cocaine, and he's like, I'm so ready for this match now.
Right, and it's like, if you include that in the story, then it's at least consistent because you're telling a story, right?
Yeah,
but
but
instead
you have
they're
to-
like, yeah, whatever, no one's paying
We'll
attention.
leave it to your imagination what happened in the back.
Yeah,
no.
whatever.
Only one NXT wrestler. This was the opposite of my prediction.
I expected there to be at least 2 or 3.
Yeah. But only one, and thank God it was Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Not only was it Sami Zayn, but he gets into the ring
And
and
immediately-
immediately goes for Owens, which I loved because there was no fallout of their feud in NXT. I also loved it because NXT storylines typically don't make it to their main roster. And we saw that with the women's getting promoted, right?
Yeah.
So Owens immediately getting taken out by Sami Zayn and then later being eliminated by Sami Zayn was like this huge payoff for being an invested wrestling fan.
Yep.
Yeah, they did a great job being aware of that,
Mm-hmm.
and it played spectacularly. And we have in our notes here like the sequence of Zayn eliminating Owens, who eliminated AJ. Like,
Oh my
sets
God.
up so many possibilities.
Oh my God. And
Oh,
on
yeah.
top of that, watching the clip back again, Owens, before he eliminated Styles, was punching him and said, "Welcome to the WWE," and then threw him out.
Oh, I loved it.
And the fact that it was him, that they realized like they needed to script him to throw AJ out because you're going to get so much heat
Yeah,
by
you
removing
can't.
this guy.
You cannot have a face throw him out.
No, you
and
can't.
And even a heel.
You have to have the heel do it.
Yeah.
Owens was the only choice.
And he was so happy to get all that heat.
Oh,
he
he
loved
loves
it.
it.
He
He loves
ate it
it.
up.
Yeah, he was great. It was fantastic. So the Kofi spot. So yeah, we've loosely referenced how we've had these prop bets going for our
yeah.
viewing party. So and we talked about the Big E as a prop for a Kofi spot, and it was such a good suggestion.
He gets on his shoulders.
That like everyone chose it after that, like in our prop bets, except
Oh, yeah.
for like one person because it was
It
just
was
too
me.
good.
It was the
It
obvious-
was me. I was the one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
you
just
said he's
probably
gonna
because
use a
you, like,
referee, and I'm like,
overthought
there's
it
no
'cause
way.
you didn't want it. Like your heart wanted.
There was
Big E.
money
Oh,
on the
yeah,
line.
yeah,
There
I
was money
totally-
on the line. You
Yeah,
had to
yeah.
be different on some of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he gets on Big E's shoulders, and then Big E just carries him around the ring. And because they're doing the heel thing, you see him in the back, like taking a sip from someone's soda and eating popcorn. And it's like it's the complete opposite of Roman. Like he's hanging outside of the ring, but because it's still character development, in the proper way that it's excellent. The thing
yeah.
I did not like about that was the poor camera work and how nobody saw him be eliminated.
Yep.
Yeah.
that
It was
a
suddenly, he
downer.
was on the floor, and then they played the replay, and you're like, well, what? Like, I didn't get any payoff for that awesome Kofi spot?
Yeah, it's hard, right? There's a lot of stuff going on.
There's a lot.
Like you also mentioned...
Logistically thinking about how that match gets put together
Right.
and how they manage it while it's on, it's like,
And then
okay.
how they pull it off and or botch things while it's going,
Yes.
right? Like you had also
Something's
mentioned
going
the
to go
camera
wrong.
missing the AJ entrance is another downer.
Well,
right?
and that might have actually been intentional. Like, they might have wanted to see Roman's face when AJ came out, but I would have much rather seen the entrance.
Yeah, like we much would rather seen the entrance for the full effect, but
Yes.
for their story, I think it was very much intentional. They wanted, because they again showed it on Raw, right, which is always the authoritative piece, right, and it was while the countdown's going, while the new song Nobody Understands is going, you're getting a super close in of Roman's exasperated, confused face as to who
and
this
he
person
did
is.
such a poor job with that. Like, honestly,
Zero expression change.
Yeah.
There was none.
yeah, because like the reaction volume wise is unreal.
I'm just paying attention to the crowd there.
Yeah.
Because you know at one, like, who is this? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But as soon as this happens, like Roman should be exhuming some sort of emotion.
Well,
and
only really one. It should be confusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't do surprise because no one knows what that is. And you can't do nothing because that sucked, and that's exactly what he did, right? But if he looked like, what the hell?
he just
like,
looked
think
tired.
too-
And it's
looked
like,
tired. That
you
was
took
it.
out Rusev. Like, how are you
we
tired?
talked about Punk coming back, right? And when the Cult of Personality was
Yeah.
invoked for the first time, like that was the first time anyone heard that song in the WWE context, so nobody knew what was going on. And John Cena, actually, we found out, like nerd style after that, he was told the wrong thing, so he would be even more surprised.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you could see him mouthing, "That's not Del Rio's music,"
Yeah.
as this is playing,
Yeah.
and CM Punk comes back out. That's how you do it. Maybe they shouldn't have told Roman about it, or maybe they didn't. And that's why
maybe
he's
they're
like,
hoping for the same thing.
like,
"Who the
I-
hell's
like,
music is this?"
No
But-
one told me my scripted reaction. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing.
He definitely can't ad-lib as good as Cena. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
I want to call out R-Truth.
oh my God, he is slowly becoming. I'm slowly liking R-Truth.
Slowly, I'm like all over R-Truth.
Oh,
Like,
man.
I think it's actually not been doing him justice that this not understanding like what day it is or what event it is. Like, sometimes the joke falls flat and sometimes it works really well, and this is them fully realizing it and a huge payoff.
Oh my God.
Him
Yeah.
thinking it's Money in the Bank, getting the ladder, and everyone's just standing there looking at him like,
The first time I've ever seen a ladder in Royal Rumble.
yes, and it wasn't even used.
You gotta give the devil their due there. Like, even earlier in this podcast, I've been like, I don't think they saw through that one. This one definitely.
Yeah.
Like, they knew it was up and it had to be planned, and it was great.
It was
Like,
definitely
props
planned.
to
I don't know
them.
if it was him or if it was the writers, but whoever
Either way,
did it was a great
they
idea.
ultimately it's
It was a
because
great
they let
idea.
it happen, right?
Yes.
Like, and that was cool.
So how did you guys feel about Brock getting eliminated by the Wyatts?
I thought it was completely unceremonious and it completely destroyed Lesnar as a character. It's a bit of an extreme statement, but when you have Lesnar, you expect to come in and just wreck shit, and he gets taken out by the guy and his family, and this guy hasn't won a pay-per-view in who knows how long. It's like there's no mystique to Bray Wyatt other than, ooh, he's kind of creepy. It's like he's not a threatening wrestler because he doesn't win.
Yeah, I am like 1,000% behind the Bray Wyatt sentiment. I don't know about complete destruction yet of Lesnar, but we're on the path. That was not a good step to take, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're going to bring him down, you want to slowly chip away, right? So I feel like that kind of sucked, and I don't like where it's going insofar as, like, I don't care about him and Bray Wyatt.
I think I don't care about Bray Wyatt is kind of where you end it.
Yeah, I don't care about Bray Wyatt, but like Lesnar, so what? He destroys him? That wouldn't be a surprise. Bray Wyatt wins? That's even worse for Lesnar.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like there's necessarily a great outcome,
Yeah, for me,
Unless it is like a 4v1 match, then, well, okay.
Yeah,
For
then
me,
it could be awesome.
I'm still a big Bray Wyatt fan, and even though he hasn't been winning, for me, what I would have more preferred is, yeah, sure, the Wyatts are targeting Brock Lesnar, but I would have much preferred everybody in the ring all at once taking out, like literally,
Yeah.
like throwing Brock Lesnar out.
So I'm not so much anti-Bray Wyatt, like, you putting it that way kind of makes me think, like, I'm not anti-Bray Wyatt, I'm anti this way in which nothing that ever seems to happen with his angles have consequence. Like, he loses every time, and then he just comes back, picks a new guy, and acts like he's the guy everyone should be scared of, and it's going to be terrible, but he loses each time, and then contextlessly forgets that it happened. Like, he, spent 6 weeks taunting The Undertaker before last year's WrestleMania, loses, and then just comes back and picks a new target, and it just just not as effective as it could be. So.
All right, one thing real quick. Ambrose, MVP of Royal Rumble. Like, him being in the final two and him having an awesome match in the opening. Like, he wrestled more than anybody in that show, and everything he did was excellent. So
he did a great job.
Now we can go through our predictions. I just needed to make sure that got said.
Yeah, no, that was good.
I'm all over on Ambrose. I've been kind of like, hit or miss, but I'm totally on that train now.
Real quick, we're just going to run through what we thought was going to happen and whether or not we got it right. Daniel Bryan.
Yeah,
nope.
I know. That was never going to happen.
Triple H called it.
Yes.
Seth Rollins, nope. Sami Zayn, yay! Finn Balor, no.
I wasn't really expecting that, though.
Hideo, no.
Someone said Hideo?
Jake the Snake, nope.
Nope, and never
gonna happen. He's getting old. Samoa Joe, nope. Kurt Angle, damn it! And AJ, we did not see coming.
Nope.
Let's see, the Kofi spot. You guys called Biggie. I called the referee.
Yep.
And then I like that I got Triple H, but I didn't call it at number 30, which was what you said.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I called the full cheese
because I really wanted Triple H to take out Bo Dallas. I don't know why. Like I had that like fantasy booking in my head. So
Kyle was actually close on the Lesnar. Lesnar comes out at 18 to 20. He actually came out at 23.
It could have happened the way I was envisioning. He didn't have to win, but he wanted, like we said, have him come out, have the ring be relatively full, have him wreck some face. That's what you do with him. Instead, he sort of does that, and then the Wyatts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I said that Lesnar was going to come in at number 12. I was way off.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that about wraps it up. The Rumble was fantastic.
Yes.
We all enjoyed ourselves and
Yes.
scared the crap out of
Would
the people
rumble
who
again.
live in Brittany's building.
yes.
If you like the podcast, you can find us on Twitter at OnTheHeelsWP and on Facebook.com/OnTheHeelsWP.
So, like us, follow us, tell your wrestling buddies. Tell them about the podcast. Feel free to tweet at us, message us if you got any suggestions.
Or tell your sisters.
Yes.
Or tell my sister.
Well, I mean
apparently
any
if-
sisters, not
any
just
sisters.
yours. I'll try my
Ray's
sister
sister's
this
already
week.
on board.
All
Yeah.
My sister's not going to listen to this shit. All right. Want to thank you guys for listening to On the Heels. Tune into our next episode where we will finally be diving into the origin story for the unicorn that brings the magic back into the office, our one and only Ray.
That is me.
And we'll hear how he got into this wonderful thing called wrestling. And then we'll ask ourselves the eternal question, will Sheamus ever connect with the audience?
Was he even in the Rumble? Like, I don't even remember.
He was.
He was?
He was. He came up. The only person was Wade Barrett, who wasn't
That's
there.
right. Well,
Because
one
his
thing
bones
was
are
for
bird
sure.
bones.
He did not.
On the Heels Wrestling Podcast.